a storyteller.
I am also a storyteller.
We as a species are addicted to story. Even when the body is asleep, the mind is still up, telling itself stories.
We all have a collection of stories and a box of memories. A little while ago, a young man sought solace in a friend to escape the troubles at home. She agreed, and they met up in a private place. And there they sat, from sunset till sunrise, swapping stories. These stories were things that they had done in their childhood to things they'd done that very day. This continued every night for several months, until one day, the weather was so fierce, they couldn't brave it anymore. So, they popped to a local shop and they brought a blanket to keep themselves warm. This then became a habit. They would meet up at night, sit under the blanket and swap stories, until one day, the young man plucked up the courage to kiss the young girl. And now, several years later, that young lady and this young man are engaged to be married. And that is my story.
Oh, ain't you a cutie? My story now? Right. I love to play in the outdoors, whether it be building dens in the woods or hide and seek in the sunflower fields. And as a family, we always love to go on walks and explore the place that we live in. Because these days, it can be so often easy to forget what an amazing place we all live in. I recently moved to Cornwall, and I've set to exploring this new land. And every time I go for a walk in a new place, if I come across a pine cone, I pick it up, take it home, and put it in a glass jar. And this glass jar is full of pine cones of all shapes and sizes. And when I look in this glass jar, I not only see all the places I've explored and the memories I've made, I also see the story behind the pine cone. The pine cone starts on the tree and it falls. And once it hits the ground, it opens up, releasing seeds, all in the hope that one of those seeds will take root. So when I look at this pine cone here, I can see potential. But that's a story for another day.
Now, we've told you our stories, and now we'd like to tell you the stories of others. A friend of mine gave me her student ID card to help share her story. So, let's go back 5 years, when she was on the creative writing course. From the very start of this course, she knew it wasn't right for her, and that resulted in her suffering from severe anxiety, which only got worse, until in the end she had to give it up. So, 5 years later, she constantly looked at this card and saw failure, until one day, her friend asked her to help her find a college course. While looking, a course stood out mainly for her, even though she was looking for her friend. But this course was perfect. So she looked into it. And it seemed like it was specifically designed for her. So she applied for it. And a short while later, she got a confirmation email. And from the very start of her new course, she didn't feel anxious at all. She felt right at home. And now, this isn't a symbol of failure to her anymore. It's a symbol that, although sometimes things may seem bad, they could just be making the way for better things to come along.
This key belongs to a very good friend of mine, and she was given it on her last day of college by her tutor. This was a time of excitement, but also a time of uncertainty. And she was told that this is the key to success. And this meant so much to her that she hung it on this chain so that she could always wear it. However, today she isn't wearing it because she gave it to me to wish me luck in telling you her story.
And now, I'd like to invite Diana from the Eden Project to the stage.
So ladies and gentlemen, how lovely to see you all. Gosh, a few moments ago, we thought we weren't going to get an audience, and here you are. Now, hands up, any of you who have actually visited the Eden Project? Come on, hands up. Oh, well done, hello. Well, those of you that have, we hope you had a lovely day. For those of you that haven't, there we are. A long way from here in Cornwall, but we would welcome you. And at the Eden Project, for the last 13 years, we've built up a culture of storytelling. And storytelling isn't just for children, it's for everyone. It's been a particularly exciting year for us at the Eden Project because having welcomed apprentices a few years ago, this year we opened our doors to higher education. We are an educational charity. And for the first time, we have started a bespoke course, a unique course in contemporary storytelling and performance. And Rose and Josh, and I say that slowly because if you say Rose and Josh, it sounds a bit like a curry, but there it goes. So, Rose and Josh are the first students that have come on this storytelling course, a 2-year foundation degree course validated by Plymouth University. So storytelling is so important. It's how we make sense of our lives. And I'm going to tell you a story. But first of all, how do stories begin? There are 4 magical words, aren't there, that traditionally we use to begin a story. You're smiling. I know you know what they are. They're actually the same wherever in the world you go. And at the Eden Project, we tell stories to people from all over the world. So after the count of 3, this is where you do have to become a bit like children, but then we all are. I want you all to shout as loudly as you can what those 4 magical words are that traditionally we use to begin a story. Are you ready? Yeah. I can see you. 1, 2, 3.
Once upon a time.
I knew you'd know. Now, what I want you to do after the count of 3, say the same words. But this time, everybody out there as well, can you hear me out there? I want you to say the same words, but this time say them as quietly as you can. And when you say them, lean towards us as if you're about to tell us a story. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go. Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a farmer and his wife. And the farmer and his wife lived on a farm. Well, they would, wouldn't they? And they were good farmers. They looked after their land well. There were always cows in the field giving fresh milk. There were always chickens in the yard laying fresh eggs. The fences from as far over there to as far over there were always in tip-top condition. Oh, and the shutters on the farmhouse windows were always gleaming white. But something happened. I don't know, they got older. Their energy ran out, their money ran out, and they became very low in spirits. The cows stopped giving milk. The chickens stopped laying eggs. The fences from as far over there to as far over there got all tatty and torn. Oh, and the shutters on the farmhouse windows really could have done with a new coat of paint. How were they going to manage? And one day, an old tramp came by. He'd been traveling a long time. He was very tired and hungry. And he knocked on the farmhouse door. The farmer and his wife greeted him. And he said, "Forgive me, I've been traveling a long time. I'm tired and hungry. I wonder, have you got something you can give me to eat?" And they sat him down and they probably gave him the last glass of milk that old Daisy the cow had given. And the old tramp smiled and said, "You look a bit down on your luck. You look very low in spirits. Is there anything I can do to help?" And the farmer and his wife looked at the old tramp and said, "Well, forgive us, but you don't look as if you could help anyone." And the old tramp smiled and he put his hand in his pocket and he took out a bar of gold. He handed it to the farmer and his wife. He said, "Here, take it. This is for you. But use it wisely. Think very carefully about how you're going to spend it." Well, they were stunned. And by the time they turned round and thanked the old tramp, he'd gone. How were they going to spend it? Well, it was no good getting new cows because the fences needed mending. And the farmer's wife, well, she wanted new shutters for the farmhouse windows. And then they remembered what the old tramp had said. Use it wisely. Think carefully about how you spend it. So they ran over to the fireplace. In those days, there was no carpet or vinyl. There was just bare earth. And with their hands, they scrabbled and scraped and scraped and scrabbled, and they dug a hole. They put the bar of gold in the hole, and they covered it over with bare earth until they had decided how best to spend it. A year and a day went by. And on that day, that old tramp, he came by again. He was tired and hungry. But imagine the joy in his heart when he saw cows in the field giving fresh milk, chickens in the yard laying fresh eggs. The fences from as far over there to as far over there were all mended. Oh, and those shutters on the farmhouse windows were all gleaming with a new coat of paint. And he knocked on the door. And the farmer and his wife greeted him like a lifelong friend. "Come in," they said. They sat him down and they probably gave him a little bit more than a glass of milk this time. And the old tramp smiled. "The farm looks wonderful," he said. "You've worked so hard. Tell me, what was the first thing you spent the gold on?" The gold? The gold? They ran to the fireplace, and with their bare hands, they scrabbled and scraped and scraped and scrabbled. And in the earth, exactly where they had left it, was the bar of gold. And in that moment, they understood that when they were down on their luck, when they were low in spirits and they really didn't know how they were going to manage, it wasn't a bar of gold that they needed. It was just somebody to show that they cared. And as storytellers, we ask that perhaps you remember that story. Perhaps you can pass it on. But if you can't pass on the story, please pass on the bar of gold. A storyteller is more than a teller of tales.
From the dawn of time, storytellers have been the teachers and guides.
The entertainers, the advocates of change,
And the healers of humanity. Thank you for listening to our stories.